And welcome back to the hottest marriage show in our neighborhood. It is I, John D. and
Kanika,
a.k.a.
Dude.
And Too Much Podcast. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I think this morning was pretty restful and I was productive. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm struggling with my hair right now. I combed out my locks and now, you know, like that look that everybody was doing when you started going natural and every girl had that twist out. It was like a little baby fro. There's no hang time yet. Well, there is hang time, but it just be there. It's a struggle. It's a struggle trying to figure out how to keep my self-esteem together right now. Not that I don't like my natural hair, but when it doesn't quite dry and then it's like puffy and then, you know, the people who know, but it's just like, it's a struggle in the beginning.
Maybe some of our listeners can tag you to some products that may possibly work for.
Yeah, because I don't know my hair anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So like this is a whole new journey.
Oh, I hate the word journey. It's like I've had my hair locked for almost 9 years. So now to even know where to begin, I have no idea. I'm just out here just throwing darts at the target and hoping.
What before you went on your lock expedition? What was your hair doing then before then?
It was doing this. I don't know how I did it though. I don't know. I don't remember any of that. It was like a lifetime ago. So
well, I keep saying this, that it really doesn't matter because she's beautiful to me on everything. I don't complain about anything, but she really cares about other people.
Hold on. Because we were in the bathroom and I turned to say something. He said, I look like, who is it?
No,
I was supposed to say, Marty.
That's not for everybody. That was for you and I. But it wasn't because, never mind. I don't have a problem though. It's not me complaining. It's her
No, it was just the shape of my hair at the time and it was like all blown out and stuff. But as soon as he said it, I started cracking up because it wasn't true.
She's referring to Back to the Future.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
It's a struggle.
Anyways, what's on your brain today?
You know, I wanted to ask you about being a husband. I think that we always talk about how exhausting it is to be a wife and a mother. I think as you've taken on a lot more than you used to, because I was listening to this guy talking about how, you know, you can't be the provider of your household if you're not 100% providing. So if you're 50 and your wife is 50, but then your wife is 50 with nurturing, that's her 100%. And then that takes from the child nurtures the younger siblings. But then, you know, it like the man is the only one that's kind of sitting here giving 50% if they're only 50% provider. But regardless of that, I don't think that you come in as trying to just be the provider. Like you're a provider of nurturing and of finances and all of that other stuff. So I guess I wanted to say, we have these kids. You have a daughter that you're trying to model what a man is supposed to look like. You have a son and a nephew. You're trying to talk about this is what men do. This is how men manage things. How exhausting is it to be a husband? Because I think I understand why we talk about women because it's a multifaceted job and it pulls you in a lot of directions. But I don't think that when a husband is being fully engaged with everybody and thinking about what's going on with everybody, that we fully understand how tiring that may be. Would you think that it's tiring at all?
So when I answer stuff like this, it's always me bashing men.
Oh, no. I just want you to talk about your, okay.
So this is just my experience.
Yeah.
And the reason why I want to say my experience, because I remember how it used to feel when you used to ask me to do things around the house then versus now. Before, I think I used to compare how much other men used to complain about doing things. Mm-hmm. And I remember I told you it was all about how you can get the most done doing the least amount of work.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was really my philosophy inside the house, because I felt like I was doing this and this, but I did complain about things that even the things that needed to be done.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I definitely do more work than I did before.
Absolutely.
But I don't think it's exhausting at all. I feel like I don't get tired. Not because I don't get tired in that way, because I know it needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And even when you were doing the least amount you had done throughout the marriage, I didn't feel like that was a lot either. I felt like if it needs to be done, you should have the energy because it needs to be done. I could see how it could weigh on you if I had to do it like for the entire time, but that's not what the relationship is, to be able to balance where you don't get exhausted. Mm-hmm. And I think before I got here, you were exhausted, and you remember how when we first started parenting, you was like, this isn't as hard as people say, but I could see how hard it would be if it was just one.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So now I feel like the stuff that needs to be done, it's a lot easier because I know a lot more of the responsibilities that I didn't know that I should have taken on then. Mm-hmm. And thinking about other men who may not do this, it wasn't modeled to them. So they feel like what I used to feel like before. But if they knew how much better it makes the household by doing a little more to take off of the woman's plate, the household would function a lot smoother. Or at least I feel like the way that we've gotten here, I think that everybody's happier than they would have been with you just doing all of the behind the scenes work that women don't typically get credit for.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me think back to Atlanta when I used to get home and I would pull into the driveway. I wouldn't even open the garage door for like 45 minutes because then everybody could hear that I was home, and then work started all over again. So I would just sit in the driveway until somebody either recognized me from the balcony or I was like, okay, I'm going to go in. I remember you used to say, I need downtime before I come home. I go, cigar bar, or I go do this or do that. And I used to really be run down. I remember that. And when you said you would have to go somewhere because you needed to prepare to come home, I was like, what, my dude? Like, even when I'm thinking about it now, like I remember when we were in Atlanta and I would take the kids to do their little soccer or football or whatever. And we would go do this and we would go do that. And then when I would ask you, you'd be like, I'm not really. But now you just disappear with them to go do whatever it is they have to do. And it feels it does feel well balanced. It does. But I guess I was just thinking to myself, for someone who was used to one way of being, and then you kind of stretched yourself to be more inclusive of all of the tasks of the household, you don't feel any exhaustion. Mm-hmm.
I don't. I think my initial energy was, what if you died? Mm. Would I really be able to handle the household outside of bills and making sure things got paid? Mm-hmm. So it was me trying to just kind of learn as much as possible. But after I start, when I was really doing a lot of the things when we were that part of it, of life.
When you first came back.
Mm-hmm. Then it's that was just to me, I feel like if I did whatever I needed to do to show you that I can change behaviors, that you would come around. So in my head, I didn't think you was going to make me do it for the remainder of our relationship.
Wait, you mean share the tasks or do everything?
Yeah, you weren't going to make me do everything.
Oh, no.
I know, but I knew I was if I just do what I'm supposed to do, things will work out. And I felt like you came around before it got even, I didn't think about when is she going to start doing? But then you came around, so it was I never got to that. So now to me, I feel like I have a better understanding of what I need to do so that you don't feel like, when is this going to get done?
Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate that. Because initially I remember before your contract ended, before you got back home, we did a list of what do you think is necessary to run the household? And he does his list and I do my list. And then we compared them, and he was like, oh, there were a lot of things left off of his list. And he was like, I feel like you were just putting stuff on there. I'm like, no, these are real things that you have to do. But when you came home and you kind of took over all of the management of the house, the grocery list at first was like missing all kinds of stuff. And then you started to realize, oh, I got to think about toilet paper. Oh, what about the dish soap?
Supplies.
Yeah, cleaning stuff. Like all of the things that I remember I used to go to the grocery store, and sometimes I would come home, I'd spend $300. And John would be like, why do you spend so much money? And I'm like, well, detergent and toilet paper and paper towel, all of that stuff, when you buy it, it's a lot of money. It just tax on. I was like, it's not going to be like that every time, but I just had to buy these supplies. And he was like, I just feel like you're spending a lot of money. But you didn't have any concept of how much it really is to get detergent for the washing machine or whatever. And so now when we budget out them groceries, you be like, it is what it is.
Because I think before I was willing to shortcut our necessities for us to have, or for me to have personal wants. Now I don't complain about gas ever because.
But he does say the price of gas before he gets out of the car every time.
Because
he be like $3.79.
Well, I couldn't believe it was that high, and that was with a discount.
You know, what's crazy is it used to be $4.90 something at one point.
Well, the whole point I'm saying, like, I don't worry about that because it has to be. Yeah, it has to be. What are we gonna do? Just complain about something that we can't control that.
I hear you.
So now, like, that's why I said we should always have, like, prepare for the nest egg of something that's going to happen regardless. And we can't be complaining about things that's going to just wear and tear.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that, I think I've told you this before. I like partner John. Husband John was like, he was cute though, but partner John is so much better. Yeah, because of that. And it makes me complain less, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I needed that confirmation.
Even about other things.
Yeah. I complain less. I have more bandwidth to manage things now than before.
Yeah, I think your patience is coming back. You know, I know you lost it along the way.
I'm just dropping it along like little breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Hoping.
And now we walk back and rick them all up.
Yes. Filling my basket back up.
So what do you think? Do you think it's a common thing that women are overwhelmed because men really believe that bringing money to the household is their main contribution to a family?
Yeah, because we know what we want. We have a vision of what we want our family to look like. And when we get into a relationship and it doesn't look like that, then we start to fill in gaps. So when we see gaps, we take from some part of ourselves to fill it in because we want the picture to look right. So I remember when I was growing up, my dad, he didn't do anything. He just brought home the money. Like, he didn't engage with us at all. My mom used to do everything. And we had a great time with her, but we didn't know that we were like pulling from every part of her. And I remember we would look at family pictures as we were growing up, and I look back and she was like, that wasn't a good time. But the picture looked right. Like, you know, in our family, the picture looked right. It was the husband and the wife, and they're smiling, and then they have the little 3 kids, and everybody looks nice, and we looked really, really nice, but it was literally taking everything out of her. And he was just, you know, enjoying the look. And it kind of reminded me of when we were transitioning from Atlanta into Abu Dhabi and stuff. And you said to me way later, you said, yeah, I used to like to take the pictures because I liked how our family looked. And it's like, yeah, but I was falling apart. But I didn't know I was falling apart. You know, when you pull out and you try to fill in gaps to make sure that your children don't feel like you felt when you were younger, you want them to have a full experience of having a good family. And then you want to support your partner when they come home and and be what they want you to be. It doesn't always work, but you don't realize how much it's almost like you go into a deficit. Like, I don't even have nothing else to give, but I'm going to find it because they need this or they need that. Or, but I did get to a point where, when you were away, when you were still on contract and I was by myself, with the kids here, and I was trying to fill in your presence, my presence, everything else. We were shut down with the pandemic. We were all closed in this apartment, and it was like trying to be 1.5 or 2 parents I commend all single parents because it's exhausting, and you never feel like you're doing everything that you want to do. Like it's never as perfect as you would like. It never really meets the expectations. And so you just keep pulling from yourself. And I think that when men have that expectation that they're just supposed to be a provider, it doesn't just take away from the woman. It takes away from the kids too, because the kids learn that a man contributes this, and then she needs to look like this. Like, you're supposed to have the world on your shoulders, but then you're supposed to, be excited about the little image where the man has the world on his shoulder and then he's holding the woman on the side. And you be like, yeah, but that's not what it really looks like, and then
Not a really good family.
Yeah. And then the other thing about it is, as a Black woman, we want our men to feel like we've always been told they have it the hardest out in the world. So when they come home, you don't give them no trouble. And not thinking like an old person, but thinking in the sense of, I understand that, you face those microaggressions and things out in the world. Our men do. And we want them to be able to come home to a stressless environment, but then we swallow the stress so that they can come home and maybe not be as stressed. And so it's just fair exchange. Ain't no robbery, right? So I think one of our previous episodes, I had asked you, or I said to you, you're a provider, but also of protection. So not just financially. So coming in and removing some of the stress from me, I really appreciate that. But I don't think men know to do that all the time, especially if you're modeling the generation before you. If the generation of women before us are doing everything, then the girls are always going to be capable of doing everything. If the generation before our young men were providing, and now there's so much more argument about 50-50, it's kind of like, in the other 50 of what the man should be providing is nurturing, but he's not. And I'm not saying all men, I'm just saying some. Then how are those young men going to learn how to step up and be more? Because they haven't seen the example.
Well, I think majority of people that have opinions are not successful. Like, when you talk about 50-50, what does the 50-50 look like? And I would like to know what the woman really feels without feeling intimidated by the man to say, can she just speak freely?
Yeah.
If a woman can really speak freely of what 50-50 looks like, and she's happy with it, and she's been doing it, I don't know. What do you think is a fair amount of years to be she knows what she's talking about?
What do you mean? How many years of struggling with the 50-50?
Honestly, I think for a long time, I think you would have thought that I was doing my part because I said, I said I wanted the 50-50, right? And I was tell me to do this, and I'm doing these things, but you look back, you can tell that it wasn't 50-50.
Yeah.
So you can look back and be like, okay, that wasn't 50-50. Maybe now we're getting closer to it. But what do you think a woman, when is her opinion valid, as far as you can believe she's comfortable with doing so much amount of work? You remember you felt overwhelmed, but it took
me time to
for you to realize that maybe this isn't 50-50. I'm tired. I'm exhausted.
Well, I think it just depends. I think it depends on if you're asking me how many years do I think it's going to be before she is exhausted and he should believe her that things need to change.
I'm wondering when a woman's opinion going to change. Okay, I'm tired.
Oh.
Because she can be like, I am. He's doing 50-50. And they'd be like, why am I getting tired then if it's 50-50?
I don't know. You know what when I was looking was when you were like taking trips with your friends, and I was looking like, oh, I can't go taking trips with my friends. Like, I can't do that. The one time I did, went to Jamaica for my 30th. They went to school with a popped ponytail for like 3 days. It was like, but that's just like lightheartedness. But I don't think that, I don't know. I really thought I was supposed to be doing all of that stuff. And I just couldn't see how anybody was going to survive if I was gone. That's a problem. That's probably the thing that I wouldn't wait years to figure out until I'm broken down. I don't even know how many years it took me. We were in Atlanta for like 8 or 9 years or something. But I would think that as soon as you look around and you say, how would they make it without me? That should let you know right then and there that you got to shift some responsibilities.
When did you feel like that? I don't understand. I felt like you would know about bills. But like when I used to go get the kids more clothes or whatever, they needed this or they needed that. You'd be like, they didn't need that.
Or when it was Christmas and I get them something, you'd be like, they don't need all of that. And it was like, what would their life be like if I wasn't here? Like he wouldn't let them do anything. Like what? Like even in understanding like the groceries, when you used to go off about the cost of groceries during certain times, it's like, how would they, if I was gone today, how would they make it? But at the time, I thought that the woman was supposed to do all of this stuff. So I was like, I got to work harder. I got to get them together. And so I would work harder rather than saying, John. But I think you were a young man at the time where if I would have said, John, we need to do X, Y, and Z, I would have gotten pushback.
You would have, because I was always thinking about money and I felt like you weren't. I
know. I kind of wasn't.
I know. So I just want you to know what I was up against too. So.
The struggle. Yeah. I definitely overdrafted the account a couple of times.
Huh?
A number of times. But that was me growing up. I was miscalculating a bit, but I used to, from my standpoint. So then in my head, I remember I used to say, he manages money better. So I stopped even thinking about money. And I figured that you would manage it. And I just do what I'm supposed to do on my end and you would manage it. But the fact of the matter is I was supposed to be paying attention. And I didn't realize that until we had to move back here and I was managing the household while you were gone. And I was like, oh, it's not exhausting and it's not intimidating if you get on top of it. But that was me standing in your place. And then I was like, oh, okay. Because you did everything that had to do with money in Abu Dhabi. And I was just out here with an allowance and having me a good old time. And then I was like, oh, I got to get these things in order. So it helped to step into your shoes. But yeah, I wouldn't even want to think, every woman is different. So I wouldn't even want to think about how many years before of her being overwhelmed before she's like, wait a minute. Not so much that her opinion is valid. I don't think that that's what you meant, but I think.
Well, I meant valid because like after 5 years, she was like, yeah, I can still do this. Her opinion is not valid because she doesn't realize how much work she's doing. She's like wearing herself down. So I'm saying like, if she does it after 10 years, maybe she was just built for that.
Hey, that might be true. Because in my head, I was thinking, no, when you're 32, you really do think that you could do all of that. But, 10 years later, you're like look. I
did all this. Like, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, I feel like if men knew that their family would operate a lot smoother if they took this off the plate, they would do it without question. But they don't know that. So it's like if a woman doesn't say it until like she's burnt out, like he's mad because you should have said this at the beginning. And it's like almost like we came to be accountable for you not telling us.
Yeah, it kind of goes along with the thing where people are talking about go around and notice 3 things. So it's this woman, she said, you need to start teaching your kids how to notice 3 things. So when you're in a room, before you leave a room, notice 3 things. What can you fix? Should you fix the pillows? How can you reset the room before you leave? Because it keeps the house clean. It makes you accountable. It makes you more cognizant of the things that are going on around the house that need change. Oh, I just used the last of the paper towel. Or notice 3 things in the kitchen before we leave after dinner or whatever. I think that teaches people to be partners as well, because we don't necessarily teach our boys the same way we do our girls. And we also, as mothers, we tend to, I'll just do it because I can do it faster. I don't want to have to tell nobody about how to do it, show you how to do it. That's going to take more time. And so even in doing it with your partner or the husband or whatever, and I don't want to make the husband seem like a child. I'm saying that on levels of understanding house management, teaching your husband what you know about managing the house. So, and that can go in levels. Like with you, it was like we were talking about groceries and you would manage the grocery list. And when I would look at it, I'd be like, well, we got to add this. Eventually you were doing all of that stuff. And I think that it's us, not just us being comfortable saying to our spouse, like, let me teach you something that I do so that, you know, but also on the opposite end being the other spouse being able to say, I'm willing to learn it. Yeah. And then not just I'm willing to learn it for when you tell me that I need to do it, but if I see it, then I'm gonna fix it without having to be told, because that's another struggle people talk about when it's like, if you would have told me to do it, I would have done it, but I don't want to have to tell you to do everything because there's too many things over here. Like, but if you see it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like we say that because we don't have enough practice in for you to believe that it's in our routine yet. Like, this is we just learned this.
Yeah.
So it's not like we know that it crosses your mind. When it crosses your mind, you could get it until like, okay, I've said this like now you know. But
oh yeah, so in the beginning I understand.
Yeah, but it doesn't. It's always worn out. Like, I don't want to tell no man. Like, dang, this is a whole new thing that I've never done.
We're just learning.
I remember you used to say that, like, well, I watched such and such, and they told me that I don't have to tell you to do because that's another job. I'm like, oh my God,
it is another
but
job.
But you're missing the hope. Like,
yeah,
you should have did a better job
train you.
finding a man who had these things. My
it was
point.
Hard out here. Yeah, it was. You know, but I always say I got you early on. So I should have known that there was going to have to be some extra stuff going on.
Well, you would have had to know what to look for to be able to know.
Yeah. And I didn't. So we were both learning. For sure. I was trying to figure out what exactly a wife is. I had this idea and then I had to pare that idea down to like, okay, that's why I love partner. I don't say partner, but when I describe having who my spouse or what have you, I usually say my husband. But I really be feeling like, okay, partnership is really it, because it lets people know that we ain't even gonna subscribe to them roles, the roles of husband and wife, because that don't work in 2024.
Well, I think that if the roles were partnership roles, it could still be for husband and wife.
Yeah. But I'm saying the mentality behind those words versus partner, it feels different to me. Like, I really think that I'm in this with you and like it's us against whatever is going on. Before, I don't know, I guess I went into it feeling like you were like shielding everything. I still feel like you are, but I felt like your responsibility of shielding the family was like telling us what we were going to do next and managing the money. My perspective of what a marriage is supposed to look like has evolved like tremendously. So
that's a good thing.
It is. And it's a lot more enjoyable and it feels less one-sided. So I'm not exhausted. I guess I was asking you if you're exhausted, but I'm not exhausted anymore. So
that's good. Maybe as we continue to partner, I'll become the husband that can take things off your plate where you be like, no, he really does more.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get there.
Oh, you do? Like, you know, when they were asking me, you know, what kind of household duties do you do around the house? What do you do? and they're listing off all the things that you think a wife traditionally would do. And I'll be like, there were a lot of times where I was like, oh, I don't do that. Like, you don't? No. Oh, I don't do that either. You don't? No. What kind of house do you have going? I was like, look, we manage it very, very well amongst everyone. So yeah, there were a lot of things that I could say, I don't worry about that part. That's not me. I do this, but that's not my responsibility. And so it's nice to be able to say it.
I think that if you could have done a better job at delegating responsibilities in the beginning, you could have created, it's almost like you talked about managing the household, like if you would have been like, okay, this is what needs to be done in this household. And I'm like, okay, but I would have been like, hey man, did your wife tell you?
Yeah, he be checking to see.
Because I want to know, because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying, if this is my information, I got to go back and say, hey, but.
I was too young to know that I needed to delegate to my husband.
Oh, no. And I was too ignorant to know that there was a needed delegation.
I'm still not good with delegating things. At work, I take it all on because I feel like I know how I want it done and I'm going to do it. That's burnout. I'm a burnout. I know I am. But I think that that's always been a problem with me. I need to make sure that it's done this way. And rather than me having somebody do it, trying to explain to them what I want done, them doing it wrong, then I have to fix it. I'll just do it myself. I'm working on delegation.
Yeah, nobody gets better messing with her because she's the only one that knows how to really do it.
I really be thinking that sometimes.
I know.
I really think that sometimes. Well, yeah. Not anymore. I can deal with it.
Anybody you want to give a shout out before we get out of here?
No.
Y'all make today better than yesterday. Don't worry about anything you can't control. GATA, get after that action or that action will get after you. You're good on purpose.